All right, now pleased to welcome in one of the best guys in college basketball, Johnny Dawkins, UCF head coach. And Johnny, first of all right, I always call you Uncle Johnny because that's what I hear everybody calls you. Where did you get that? Like how old did you have to be when you got the Uncle Johnny nickname?
I didn't think I was that old, but some of the younger players, of course, when they came in, started calling me Uncle Johnny. Nolan Smith, of course, was probably one of the first players to start saying that, and of course, proud of what he's doing with his program. But yeah, so it kind of stuck. It's a lot of the players. I became their uncle, and you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm part of their family.
All right, I'm calling you Uncle Johnny too, so I'm a part of the family too, I guess.
Absolutely.
Listen, 20-7, 9-6. Um, I have said it. This is honestly, this might be the coolest story in college basketball this year. And it took me a while to like totally buy in that you guys were a tournament team, and you're waiting and seeing, and I know what it was like for you in the off season. I mean, this year, am I wrong? Like, how many returning players did you have from last year's team, Johnny?
We returned two young men that walked on to our team. That was it. We had to get 13 players in 3 weeks.
That's
So 13
insane.
players in 3 weeks. But what I will say about that is, says a lot about our staff,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
their commitment, how good they are.
Yep.
Tyson Waterman, Adam Hood,
Yep.
Dwayne Anderson, Robbie Lang, my associate head. These guys, they were amazing. I kind of set the vision for what we wanted, obviously, and but then them and executing and finding the pieces that we thought would fit that system. I thought they did a phenomenal job.
All right. So when did you realize? Because it takes a while when you have that many new guys in the preseason. You've been doing this a long time. You're like, all right, maybe I like our team, but like, I don't know. I mean, these are all guys, and you got an older group. I mean, I feel like every guy on your team is on the third team, at least at UCF.
Now,
But
yeah, we
when
have some
when did you
experience.
when did you, and I assume that was the blueprint. The blueprint part of it in the offseason was, hey, we don't have as much money as pretty much everybody in the league. But
Well, we probably, I would say, I see you guys throw numbers out. We're definitely lower than the numbers y'all throw out, that's for sure. I say that.
all right, hey, we never know. That's the hardest part these days. We never know what the numbers really are anywhere. You're kind of playing a guessing game, but we know we know kind of what tier you're in, and it's not the top tier. It's not BYU, it's not Texas Tech, it's not Kansas. Those are three teams you've beaten this year. But when did you kind of really buy into the fact that, hey, you know what? Like, I think we got a chance here to be a tournament team.
Well, when we put the team together, like I said, our staff was amazing. And what happens is, you have your summer workouts. And the one thing that made me feel great about each one of the players, they all talked about, Coach, we want to win. We want to do something special. We want to win here. And that was one of the first things they said in recruiting. And a lot of times, young people say a lot of different things and
They
through the
want this,
process when you
Johnny.
when you're
They
trying
want
to
this first,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's a big part now, of course. But so when I hear those words, my ears kind of just perk up, and I'm like, wow, this young man's talking about winning. And so that was exciting. And so I knew our guys were on the right track with the young people that we wanted to have here at UCF. And then in the summer, of course, in the workouts, the thing you start to see just how competitive they were. And at that point, they don't know each other very well. You have all new players, new coming from new programs, different programs. And the thing that I saw was if we could get all these guys on the same page as competitive as they are, then we think we have a chance to be successful because they had the right spirit. They just need to be, molded into, how they're going to play as one as opposed to, playing as 13 individuals.
So was it maybe the Kansas win? Was that the first time though that you were like you got out of that game and you're like, okay, we beat we beat a team here. Like it's different. Let's face it. Like you get some of those other wins, Kansas is different. When you get that one where you're walking away being like, all right, this is even better than I thought.
No, definitely. I mean, that was, of course, early in the season, a signature win for us, but, I thought it started well before that, Jeff. I think it started, during preseason. Our exhibition games, we went down to Cameron and played Duke.
Yeah.
We bought LSU here. And it was kind of an eye-opening experience for my players because I had explained to them just how challenging, the league is going to be, the Big 12, how challenging our season is going to be. And of course, they're all coming from different places. Yeah, yeah, coach, we understand. Yeah, we got it, coach. We got it.
Yeah,
Wink and
right.
nod. And so once we played those games at the end, I'm like, okay, you see where we're starting from. And so I think our guys went from what they say is, unsure at that point. No matter how competitive they are, they were very unsure. And then I think they started to believe, after the Kansas win, then you started to see the belief. And then, as you move forward, they started to gain even more confidence as the season progressed.
Like I said, you beat Kansas, you beat Texas Tech, but the game the other night, I think, caught like the nation's attention because I don't know what you were. I think I'm trying to think of where you're at right now. Like a 7. Most people have you as like a 7 seed. And I don't know how much you're paying attention. You've been doing this a long time. My guess is you're not looking every day when you
No.
wake up. What do these people have us projected? But going into that BYU game, you're probably in the 8-9 line. You're not completely safe, and you go in there to one of the more hostile environments in college basketball right now, to a team that has potentially the number 1 overall pick in AJ dybantsa and a really good point guard, and they come off a huge win, and you did something that I don't think you even probably expected you would do for the first 30 minutes. Then you try to make it interesting the last, 10. But what was that like for you to go in? And because again, like that was as well as I think you could have played for the first 30-ish.
No, absolutely. As you just said, you go into an environment like that. First of all, BYU has an amazing environment. That atmosphere in there is incredible. I was on the West Coast for almost a decade, so I understood it. I don't think our players understood it till they actually got in there and got to compete against them, but they do an amazing job. And like you said, that first 33 minutes of the game, I don't think we could have had a better, performance from the standpoint of execution of our game plan. I thought we always talk to our players about preparing and understanding the importance of, preparation and then applying it in the game. I thought our guys did a really good job of applying it and get off to a great start. And it always helps. You make 11 threes and a half. Usually, you get off to a good start. And so I think all of that kind of came together, at one time.
Your offense has been great this year. Great. I mean, you shoot the ball, you got weapons all over the place. Defense has probably been the one area that you'd like to firm up if you can. What you know what do you think of this kind of going down the stretch right now? And if you guys want to make noise in the Big 12 tournament and hopefully the NCAA tournament, does it start with defense?
Absolutely. If you're going to be successful, you have to guard. And so, me, I'm always stabbing myself in the heart because, we start everything in our program with that in mind. And we've done a great job, I think, offensively, of course, as you mentioned. Adam Hood, I brought him in to be my offensive coordinator. And I think he's been amazing at what he does
Yes.
with an understanding of what I want. And I think, like I said, Coach Tyson, understanding, okay, what personnel is going to provide us those, opportunities to be successful in that area because that's one place we were lagging at over the years. We were always, really good defensively, but, offensively, it was, a struggle for us at times. And so we wanted to revamp that. And I think those guys have done a great job of making that happen. So definitely, defensively, though, it's going to have to be our calling card as we come down the stretch. Our guys understand that it's something that we preach every day, and we still. I know you mentioned it earlier about if we can get better at it. I think we can. I'm a firm believer that you can still get better through the season. And you just have to keep working on it and stay diligent. And so we're going to continue to do that, continue to make improvements in those areas, and I think that'll just make us even a better team.
What year is this for you as a head coach or coaching even? Do you know what year it is?
This is my 18th year as a head coach, my 10th year here. And as you know, to be in one place for 10 years is amazing, and this, especially in this day and age. And so I think our university, I think our presidents that I've had with 3 presidents, I've had 2 ADs. So, I've gone through, a lot of, change here, and I'm the one who's still been here. And so, I thank all the people that have given me this opportunity because, as you know, these are tough jobs and tough times. but I've been very fortunate to have the people to have my back here at UCF.
Is this the sweetest year in a way, Johnny? Because again, everybody kind of knew like, hey, you had to win this year. You had to win. You probably knew that. You're old enough to understand this how it goes. Again, the resources weren't what a lot of other teams were in this changing landscape in the Big 12 and nationally. Has this been kind of the coolest year of your career in a way, just because of, and it's different. Again, you got a bunch of new guys, so it's that part of it's got to be hard for you because you are a relationship guy. You're a guy who wants to recruit a kid, know the parents, they trust you. That's changed. That's changed. So maybe that part isn't quite as satisfying as it's been in the past. But just the fact that you've taken this team that was counted out that nobody thought would have a chance. And again, I don't want to say I'm gonna knock on some wood for you here, that you keep winning down the stretch, but hopefully get in the NCAA tournament.
No, absolutely. And for us, I haven't had a chance to look at what you're talking about, to be quite frank. I never take, a snapshot during the season. I always look back on the season to see exactly how we did. And I try to have our players do the same thing. I say, guys, we got to stay in the moment. I know, and I coach every game is if we have something to prove. Every single opportunity that we have to go out there with that mindset. And it's up to me to get my players to fully understand that. Like I'm old enough and been in it long enough where I get it, but I have to get that message through to our players that, what are we playing for? We're not, we're still playing to win games. We're still playing to, finish out strong in the regular season. And then we go to a conference, which is another monstrous season in the Big 12. It's a gauntlet. And so, I want our guys to understand that, we have a lot of unfinished business and we have to continue to look at it that way and not stop and, catch our breath or smell roses that aren't really there. It's all an illusion. This race is still going on for all of us. And like I said, it's my job to get our guys to understand that as well.
One more off topic question, a little bit. I remember doing every year, the question was always going to be who's going to replace Coach K. And we go through it. We talk about all the candidates, right? Wojo, you, Capel, Tommy. I mean, it's everybody, right? Everybody. And we never had Shire on the list because he was like too young, right? He was too young, and it works out that John Shire was the pick to replace Coach K, and a lot of people were shocked and were like, I don't know. He's kind of young. Don't know if he can pull this thing off. He's been incredible. He's been absolutely incredible. When you watch it from afar to some degree, but as a proud member of somebody who basically got this Duke program started, what do you think of John Shire and the job he's done?
I mean, he's done a phenomenal job. I'm really happy for John. For me, because we're all in the same family, I had a chance to coach John as well. So I couldn't have been more happy to see him get the opportunity. And he's going to do a terrific job. He already has, and he will continue to do a terrific job, And so definitely rooting for him and his team and the Duke program, obviously. And so exactly what you're saying. Everything you said is correct about him and what he's doing. But also he's a great man. I mean, great family man, and he understands about the challenges that we have in this profession and the expectations. And I think, he's done the right job. He's pushed the right buttons, and like you said, the program is clicking on all cylinders, and we wanted to continue to do so.
The only thing I don't like now is, as a coach, we don't see the Shire faces like we did when he was a player. Remember, you have the
That's true.
pictures of all the
Yes.
Shire
Yes.
faces. We just don't get that now. It's a little disappointing. Do you have a great Shire story that maybe hasn't been told of him when you were coaching him? Is there something good? Because he's kind of, I've known him since he was 15. So I got a few from, his recruitment even. But anything that you got that comes to mind?
Probably the best thing that I can remember with John is, we were notorious for having, some very intense workouts, and especially, in the preseason and getting guys going and understanding what our culture is like and, having a standard of work and accountability. And so so we were having one of those workouts and I'm waiting to see, which guys are going to show chinks in their armor right now because we're getting after it pretty good, and we're going to find out. And I will say, in the four guys in the workout that we had in that group, he definitely was the guy that kept working. I didn't have to look at him. I'm like, oh, he has it. I mean, he has that quality. Because there were guys during that time, and he and I laugh about it to this day when we talk. Say, you remember that time we were working, and we'll just kind of giggle and laugh at each other about the workouts. I said, man, coach, those workouts were tough. I said, the one thing, Bo John, you showed right away is the toughness and the commitment that's required to be successful. And that's what you carry over into coaching. Those same qualities
Right.
carry over and help you become successful in coaching. And that's why I think you see him doing a great job, at Duke University right now as well.
Well, listen, I appreciate you taking the time. It's great to see you doing well. I'm going to see you in a couple of weeks in Kansas City at Big 12 tournament, but couldn't wait that long. Had to give you some props. I know this is a guy that is about the least self-promoting dude in college basketball. So you got to track him down. You got to get on him. You got to hit the SID and all the people around him and try to get Johnny to do something like this, because I know it's not about you. I know it's not about you and the player. It's about the players. But you have done an incredible job, done it the right way throughout the course of your career, and you deserve this. You deserve it. Now just keep it going.
No, absolutely. That's what we want to do. Like I said, we have a lot of unfinished business. I want our guys to understand that. Never get to a place where you're satisfied in this profession. It's always about the next game, next opportunity. And again, I just want to just thank my staff because, like I said, they've been amazing. We wouldn't be here without them. And my team, of course. Our players have been, they've been phenomenal and from day one. And so I want to thank them and our administration, Richard Zavosik, who's our deputy athletic director, Terry Mahaja, athletic director, all the people that believed in us and what we're capable of doing. I just want to make sure they understand that we're very grateful for that opportunity.